The newspaper you read every morning. How much of that news do you truly believe? This is a story about an interview that appeared in headlines across Japan. An interview that never actually happened. Politics and the press joined forces to make a man speak. Every word attributed to him was entirely fabricated. It was a fictional story crafted by the state and the media. This is a case that questions the boundaries between freedom of the press and the pursuit of truth in post-war Japan. The fabricated interview of Ritsu. We want you to know it. The year was 1950. Japan was still under Allied occupation. At home, the influence of the Cold War was intensifying. A sharp ideological divide was growing between communism and democracy. The Japanese Communist Party, or JCP, came under increasing scrutiny from GHQ. At the time, newspapers were far more powerful than they are today. With no television or internet, the public relied almost entirely on print media. In many ways, newspapers represented the nation's reality. One of the key figures of the era was Ritsu, a high-ranking member of the JCP, known for his intellectual and logical speeches that resonated both inside and outside the party. In 1949, he left Japan and headed to China. From that point on, his whereabouts became unknown, and then, suddenly, his voice appeared in Japanese newspapers. In July 1950, several major newspapers, including the Asahi Shimbun, published the same stunning headline: Ritsu holds press conference in China. According to these reports, Ito criticized JCP leadership, naming key members like Yoshida. He supposedly claimed that the leadership had strayed from the correct path and failed to engage in necessary self-criticism. He was also quoted as saying that the JCP should align with the policies of the Chinese Communist Party. These stories strongly suggested that Ito had converted and was attempting to expose internal divisions within the JCP. What's more, the same story appeared in multiple national newspapers simultaneously. This suggests the use of a wire service such as Kyoto News, meaning the information was distributed broadly and intentionally. But the truth was, the press conference never happened. Ito was in a secure part of China, completely cut off from external contact. Holding any kind of press conference was impossible. Yet, the fabricated quotes and behaviors were published as if observed firsthand. The implausibility of the article would eventually spark major controversy. The truth surfaced several years later. When Ritsu returned to Japan in 1955, he faced the press directly. And he denied it all. "I never held a press conference in 1950. He further stated that the quotes attributed to him were entirely false. This confirmed what some had already begun to suspect. The interview had been fabricated. More disturbingly, it wasn't just one paper. It was multiple leading national papers. This wasn't the mistake of a single journalist. It was the sign of a coordinated fabrication. Even more troubling was that none of the papers involved launched serious internal investigations or issued formal apologies. The silence was deafening, as if the media preferred to let history forget. Japanese journalism was shaken to its core. What is reporting? Who defines the truth? So, who created this fictional interview? And why? At the time, GHQ was actively conducting a red purge to eliminate communists from government and industry. American anti-communist policies strongly influenced domestic Japanese media. Some newspapers published articles based on information from GHQ or police information that often served political ends. This interview was likely part of that campaign. The goals were clear: to foster division within the JCP, and to portray Ritsu as a defector, damaging the party's credibility. In short, this was not journalism. It was propaganda. Perhaps what made this case all the more powerful was what Ito did next. He remained silent. He distanced himself from politics, offering little comment on the fabricated story. Perhaps his silence was its own kind of testimony. Perhaps for Ito, bearing the weight of the lie in silence spoke louder than words. When the press tells a lie, and that lie aligns with the state's agenda, it becomes a weapon. The fabricated interview of Ritsu is a chilling example of the weaponization of information. Who owns the news? And how dangerous is our instinct to believe? Today, in an age of social media, AI, and information overload, we are surrounded by content that looks like truth. But looking like truth and being truth are two very different things. The line between fiction and reality may be much closer than we think. This incident is remembered as one of Japan's earliest crimes of journalism. From that moment on, public trust in the media began to erode. The fabricated interview of Ritsu, it's a quiet but enduring warning from our history.